Welcome to Bible Study with Fred. I'm going to talk about Genesis 7:13 to 16 today from the King James Version, the authorized version of the Bible. In the self-same day, in the self-same day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth and the sons of Noah. I'm going to start again. I'll get it right. Genesis 7:13. In the self-same day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the three wives of his sons with them into the ark. They and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, two and two of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they that went in male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded him. And the Lord shut him in. It's important to read this passage in light of the context it is in, so we can see that by saying this, the sevens mentioned earlier are not excluded, just not a detail that is repeated. Representatives of all major groupings of living land creatures that breed there, even though their breathing is done somewhat differently in land animals, fowls, and say a grasshopper, breathing is done nonetheless, are preserved. This implies that the genetic variation within a family, like the dog or wolf, can eventually lead from a small population to a great variety of canines. Even evolutionists assume a wolf-like ancestor of both dogs and wolves, so it is more likely if such a beast existed, he would have been on the ark. And you can look at the book, A New Understanding of Canine Origin, Behavior, and Evolution by Raymond and Lorna Coppinger, University of Chicago Press. If you consider the number of breeds of dogs that man has created by manipulation in the last 200 years alone, it is no stretch of the imagination to consider how rapid speciation can occur under God's direction. And yet, as all creatures have boundaries set by the genetic code, with great diversity within, there are limits, boundaries which cannot be passed, kinds, so that a fish doesn't become a lizard any more than a chrysanthemum becomes a butterfly. Probably the most important thing to consider in this passage is that the Lord shut him in. It is God who saves mankind, not man himself. John 1:12 and 13 says, But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name, which are born not of blood, nor the will of flesh, nor the will of man, but of God. God closes the door on your salvation. You are sealed by the Holy Spirit provided, the means by which God dwells in everyone who trusts him, in him. 2 Corinthians 1:22, who hath also sealed us and given the earnest of the Spirit in our hearts. Ephesians 1:13, excuse me, in whom you also trusted after that you heard the word of truth, the gospel of your salvation, and whom also that after that ye believed, you were sealed with that Holy Spirit of promise. Ephesians 4:30, and grieve not the Holy Spirit of God, whereby you're sealed into the day of redemption. You're not saved by your good works or your kind nature, or how much other people admire and like you. It is God who closes the work of salvation. You are saved by his mercy and grace. Peter used this salvation from the flood as well as baptism as types of our salvation. The like figure in the passage I'm going to read. Notice that Noah was saved before the ark was baptized in the flood by being shut in. We are already saved before we are baptized, as it has no saving power, but as a fulfillment and expression of our condition, the answer of a good conscience toward God. 1 Peter 3:18 through 22. For Christ also hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit, by which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison, which sometime were disobedient, when once the long suffering of God waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was a preparing, wherein few, that is, 8 souls, were saved by water. The like figure whereunto even baptism does also now save us, not the putting away of the filth of the flesh, but the answer of a good conscience toward God, by the resurrection of Jesus Christ, who is gone into heaven and is on the right hand of God, angels and authorities and powers being made subject unto him. So we'll stop there and we'll pick the story up, the narrative up next time. Thank you for watching. Take care. Oh, you can see other comments I made on blogger.com if you'd like to.